Oh, hello. Hello, you. And hello, you. Yeah, I'm in the dark about a lot of things. Right, let's talk about the memorial. The memorial this year, it will be held in the Kingdom Halls instead of at people's homes and virtual online and Zoomy memorials. And let's be honest, the memorial of Jehovah's Witnesses is the biggest event for them each year. It's a little bit like Christmas for them, minus obviously the presents, Santa, a tree, the Queen's speech. Yeah, it's actually nothing like Christmas. But anyway, for them it is the big moment of the year. And I don't go onto their jw.org website, but somebody on one of the Facebook sites I follow actually just put up this thing, and I clicked onto it. And what the witnesses have done now, that they for those who want to attend a proper memorial event, now have an app, not an app, they have a map locator, and you can actually put in where you live, and it will tell you where your nearest I think I've got COVID. Where your nearest where your nearest memorial event will be taking place. In my case, it's taking place in 3 places near me. Although one of the places is across the Solway. So as the crow flies, it's quite close. But of course, there isn't a bridge, so you have to go miles to get it. So it's a bit stupid. But hey ho, enough works. So we'll come back to that a bit later. I just want to talk about a few personal experiences on the memorial. Obviously, 28 years I partook. Well, obviously I didn't partake. Hey, for 28 years I did do the whole memorial gig, and in the hall I was in, there was no memorial partakers, and I did ask at some point, was there anybody who ever took any of the emblems here? And they said yes. But of course they died, because back in the 70s, early 80s, anybody who was a emblem taker was advanced in years. So that was back then. And I always thought the whole event was a bit... I don't know, it's a bit odd, because when you go to the memorial and there's nobody partaking of the emblems, it's like going out for a meal, all sitting around a table, somebody passing around the meal, the waiter passing around the plate, and you pass it to each other, and then you give back to the waiter and walks back in the kitchen with it. It was like, how very odd. And I always thought the whole memorial thing was really, really odd. And it was only when I moved from Ellesmere Port to Ayr Congregation that I saw my first 2 memorial partakers, and literally I was gobsmacked. I couldn't believe it. I was literally watching. I couldn't believe what I've seen. These people are actually eating, a man and a woman, both advanced in age, eating of the unleavened bread and the wine. And just mention the unleavened bread. I love the fact that when somebody actually made the like sister unleavened bread maker made the unleavened bread, and I really enjoyed. Well, I enjoyed it. Sorry, I didn't enjoy it obviously, but I enjoyed seeing it, because when you saw unleavened bread, which obviously isn't the same sort of bread that you normally get down at the supermarket, all of a sudden it was a case of you had a connection with some sort of observance, some sort of religious festival, not even predating Jesus Christ, going back to the time of the Passover. So it was like 4,000 years old or something. It was like, and when you saw the unleavened bread, which I'd never seen in my life before, it was amazing. So to actually then see somebody eating of the unleavened bread, I was absolutely transfixed. Then the next things, I moved from Ayr to Rutherglen, and again we had 2 elderly emblem partakers, and again it was a strange feeling, because obviously you're going to like a meal, it's like sitting around a table where the waiter brings out the food and the drink, but only 2 people get to eat it and then they hand it back to the waiter unfinished. Still a bit odd. And then there was a continuation when I was in Ayr, but all the partakers of the emblems were advanced in years. And I'm going back to like 1984, 85, 86, and all those emblem partakers are now dead. And if for anybody to then say, oh, I'm an emblem partaker, my age or a bit older, was just ridiculous. Like, I was like in the early 20s. Anybody who wasn't over 70, so in other words, there was a we're 70, I was 20, that's about 50 years. So there was no way within 50 years of my age of somebody being a emblem partaker. But of course, things have changed in the Jehovah's Witnesses. And this time last year, Stephen Lett was trying to nip in the bud anybody who, over the preceding 12 months, had decided that, guess what? The Jehovah God had selected them also to be a king and priest with Jesus Christ in the heavens. And so he did this talk, which I commented on belatedly, but I'll do the description I'll put the video link in the description, because the logic that Stephen let use can then be used against him in other things. So if anybody wants to go back and see the video I did a year ago about this whole thing. But to be honest with you, even like Mark Sanders, or Sanderson I think he is, in the governing body, he's younger than me. How is he an emblem partaker? And how is anybody younger than me when the age difference when I was young was about 50 years? How can we go back and say people younger than me give me the governing body? The number was sealed. It does my skull in. I tell you what, if I was a Jehovah's Witness still attending the Kingdom Halls, and somebody younger than me, or maybe maybe 10 years older, well, if they're 10 years older, they'd be like in this, obviously 70 now, because I'm 60 in July. But anybody younger than me, I would absolutely go up to them and say, what's the crack? What's going on? What's going on with you? Why do you think? What gives you? I wouldn't let it go. So I'd be like a dog with a boner. So the next thing is, in relation to the memorial, it's the memorial people who come along to the actual memorial event. I really despise the people who used to come to the memorial year after year, and it was the only time you ever saw them in the Kingdom Hall. They came to the memorial, and these are people who are like sisters' husbands who are unopposed. People who fell away from the lies but then decided to come back, and youngsters who just maybe stopped going recently, but then the mum and dad would convince them to come back just for the memorial. And year after year I used to see the same faces. I'm thinking, so I'm knocking my pan out, pioneering, and then having a shit job with shit wages and not being able to do anything with my time. And these phonies are coming along to the Kingdom Hall thinking that gives them a pass on the memorial to get through to survive Armageddon, to get through to the new system. I really resented them and disliked them immensely, because I used to see them year after year, the same ones, especially when I was in Ellesmere Port and in Rutherglen. And once there was a guy in Ellesmere Port. Now this story, it may be an urban myth, but I think it happened, but I'm not convinced it did happen. Maybe I made this all up, but when I consider the person involved in the story, this may be very, very true. But apparently, I actually was there. I'm sure this happened. But a guy called Derek McCulloch was giving a talk he had no sense of humour at all in Ellesmere Port, one of the elders. He's not there anymore. And he was saying, when we see, apparently there was some guy who came every year. I can't even mind his name. No, let's call him Tom Riddell. I don't know what his name was. So the next thing is, it was said, the guy was giving the talk, and he said, when we see Tom at the memorial this year, what we're going to go up and say to him. And clearly what he was trying to get out the audience was for us to say, how about you come to the meeting next week, a special talk? How about you come to this? How about you do that? In order to encourage him to come to all meetings. And I'm absolutely positive that Dave Harvey put up his hand and said, so imagine that, what are we going to say to Tom when we see him at the memorial this year? Brother Harvey, See you next year, Tom. I'm absolutely positive he said that, which sort of completely deflated the elder, because basically that's what would probably happen. And the reason why I think that David Harvey said that is because another thing which isn't an urban myth, I definitely remember him saying this. Another elder was giving a talk, and he was trying to say, what sort of bills do we see coming across our door, landing on our doorstep? And hands went up. Brother slightly balding. Electricity bills. You're right. Any other hands? Yes. Sister not quite with us. The gas bill. The gas bill. Brother Dave Harvey. Uncle bills. So definitely, that was the sort of thing he used to do. He used to crack one off. I mean, a joke, at the elders' expense during the meetings. So I'm pretty sure that happened. But anyway, the point is that there used to be these people used to turn up every year, and it did my nutting. And then I left in 2000. I stopped going to the meetings on the 1st of January 2000. Now that's 22 years ago, which is slightly spooky. And sadly, I let myself down badly because I said I'll never go back to the congregation in East Kilbride anymore. East Kilbride had 3 congregations in the Kingdom Hall. I don't know if they've still got 3. Maybe they've got 2. Maybe they've got 4. I don't know. I don't care. But I got, basically my elder in my group came up to me, my former group, and said, would you like to come to the memorial? And I acquiesced. I caved in. And it wasn't in the Kingdom Hall, so I never broke my promise of saying I won't go back to that Kingdom Hall. It was in a community centre because, of course, it was too small for 3 congregations to meet. And from the moment I walked in to the moment I walked out, I hated every single moment of it. And I thought to myself, wow, you let yourself down badly there. And there's a lot of things in my life that I regret doing, and that is one of them. I really let myself down. I should have stuck to my guns and just said no. I don't want to do this. And then I all of a sudden became one of those people I hate, those people I despise who just turn up at the Kingdom Hall thinking they get at the memorial, thinking that they're going to get a buy through to the paradise. But I didn't at that time anyway. I was just doing it just because I don't know why I did it. Crazy times. And then even the whole premise of inviting somebody to the memorial anyway, I'm sure that we used to distribute a little invitation to like complete strangers when we were out chapping doors or street witnessing, back in the days where we actually spoke to people and handed literature in somebody's hand. And I'm sure I invited people to the memorial. And just imagine if somebody had actually taken up one of those invites and had come along, they'd be thinking, what is going on? I'm sitting here passing a plate with some dodgy looking bread and some wine which smells a bit cheap. And the only 2 people are those 2 old people down at the front who look slightly out of their minds. What is going on? If you came from a Protestant background, you wouldn't have enjoyed it at all because they don't really do the whole wafers and wine escapade. And if you were a Catholic who came along, you'd be then trying to figure out is how come you're not supposed to, everybody else is taking them, but you're not. But of course in the Catholic faith, they believe, on regular times when they go up for Mass and however, they believe in something called transubstantiation, which they believe that the moment they take in the wafer and the wine, they instantly turn into the body and blood of Christ. It's crazy. And if you've ever, I don't like the Reverend Ian Paisley, he's dead now, but if you ever want to look on YouTube of his rant about it, it's quite interesting. Anyway, I'll leave it at that. I won't put the link for that one because I can't be bothered looking for it. But anyhow, Paisley's take on transubstantiation is quite interesting. And I do remember, going back to the unleavened bread escapade, is that I love seeing the unleavened bread. I just thought this is a touch to, like I said, an event 4,000 years ago. And then one year we were in Rutherglen, and the plate came along, and what is this? It was like wafers and biscuits, unleavened wafers and biscuits, because unfortunately sister who makes unleavened bread had passed over, and so nobody else had thought, oh, what are we going? Oh, now we forgot it. So quickly go to Tesco's and try and get some, special unleavened wafers. And next thing is that, you know, they came along on the plate and thought, what is this? I was expecting the next plate to come along with, you know, some pickle and a spoon. I was so disappointed, you know. But hey ho, that was one of my last memorials in Rutherglen, and that was that. So anyway, getting back to what I was actually talking about in the first place. So I stopped doing the memorial, and that was it. And I've not regretted not doing one since. And I really thought inviting somebody for the first meeting to the memorial event was really odd anyway. But however, what the and of course last year the society did this virtual Zoom memorial meeting while people were in lockdown, and also the year before, which is a bit odd because if you're in lockdown you weren't supposed to leave your house. So for those who were in their house, I don't know how this worked, but if you were single, or if you were on your own living in the house or living with unbelievers, how did you celebrate the memorial? You'd have to go out and try and source some unleavened crackers, or make your own unleavened bread, get in a bottle of Merlot or something, and then watch the talk, and then try and get somebody to pass the emblems to you. Because remember that really odd thing that either side of the rows, the brothers would pass the emblem, you know, do the passing of the plates, like pass the parcel. Then they go on the stage and pass the parcel to each other. Then the one who passed it to the first ones, then he'd sit down and he'd get it back and he'd pass it on. It was just bizarre. I used to watch it thinking, if you could video this, it'd make a fantastic video. In fact, I should have thought about that, but that was before I had a video camera. And so how did people do it last year at home? If they lived on their own, there's nobody there. Did they actually call it out to a neighbour? Is there any chance you could be in my back window like when the sun goes down at 7:30? Okay, not a problem. Says, I'm going to give you something, but I need you to give me back. Oh, intriguing. I'm all for this. So next thing is, of course, they're watching the Zoom meeting, and now we're going to see. Is it the wine goes first or the bread? I can't remember. And now we're going to do the blessing on the wine. Blah 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 blah. And so head down. So next thing is, there's the guy outside the window who says, right, okay, I'm just going to pass this to you. Okay, right, okay, there you go. There's a glass of wine. Oh, thank you very much. No, that's not for you. Well, why are you passing me a glass of wine? No, I want it back now, so it comes back through the window. And it sits down there. You drinking that? No, I'm not drinking it. Right, okay, a bit odd. Right, can I go now? No, you can't. Can you just hang out the window? It says that I've got something else to give you. Wow, this is intriguing. So next thing is, gets to the bit of the talk, and it's now time for the bread. And this represents the body of Christ. So here we go. Right, there you go. There's the bread now. Okay, what am I supposed to do? Pass it back to me. Okay, pass it back to you. Then right, okay. Right, okay. Is that it then? Yes, that's it. Well, that was weird. And then of course the poor little old sister sitting there has now got a got a glass of wine. She hasn't drunk. Some unleavened bread or some dodgy looking crackers on the plate, and she's got 3/4 a bottle of Merlot in the kitchen. So after the event's finished, what did he do? What did she do with the wine? Did she like tip the wine down the sink? or did she say to herself, oh, it's a shame to waste that glass of wine. I'm just going to drink that wine now. Oh God. And then of course she's still got 3/4 of the bottle of Merlot to go. And there's maybe that she's a bit peckish at 10:30. That there's that unleavened bread still there. Oh, it beggars belief. It really does. Oh dear. I wish I'd seen a video of that one. I tell you what, I wish I could do like a comedy series on the TV where you do skits of being witnesses. It'd be fantastic. But the only people, unfortunately, who'd get it would be extra Jehovah's Witnesses. So maybe not that popular. So anyway, getting back to this. So what we have here, what I've done is, at first I was looking to where I lived, and it was pretty good. So if you're looking for somewhere to observe the memorial on, I think it's April the 24th, it's really easy to do if you live in the Western world. However, things change an awful lot when you look at other places in the world. Now, I don't know if you can see that there, right? So basically, that shows, right, in North Africa, imagine you've online been reading about the Jehovah's Witnesses, and you're quite interested, and you would like to experience the memorial event with Jehovah's Witnesses. So if you're in like Tunisia, for instance, you put in, your little village, and you press search and nothing comes up. Oh, that's a bit shit. I'm going to have to travel a bit here. So then you put in your local town, still nothing. Shit. So you put in nearest city, still nothing. What the? So the next thing is you thought, right, maybe I'll try Tunis. You know, I think it's the capital of Tunisia. I've been to Tunis, so it might not be, and still nothing. And then you widen out your search to find out that the nearest place, the nearest place that is holding, if you live in Tunisia, the nearest place to attend the memorial is, I don't know if you can see there, right? It's an island in the Mediterranean, which I've been to, called Malta. And that goes, that goes for most of northern Africa. Western Sahara, Mauritania, Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt. There is nothing. Then you can go into Central Africa and Chad, Mali, Niger. It goes on and on. It just shows here, if you're in Central Africa, you can maybe go into Nigeria, but it's literally hours and hours of a drive. Chad, nothing. And then it gets worse. When we then start heading over to the Middle East, it gets worse. You're looking there at Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Oman, United Arab Emirates, Syria, Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan, if it's pronounced there, another place called, all the stands. There's a lot of stands. I don't want to pronounce these stands because I'm looking like I can't pronounce them. I can't. But if you look there, look at that. Look at that. Right? And then you just keep on heading, you know, across the globe. And you have some in India. And then you get to China. And there's a great big fat, you know, look where it only places where they do the meetings. That's the whole of China. And the only place where they're doing any sort of memorial events is, of course, surprise, surprise, it's Hong Kong. Because it used to be, well, sort of the British nicked it, they handed it back. But there you go. So basically, right, basically, if you're in any of these countries, in most of North Africa, Central Africa, Western Africa, Eastern Africa, near enough the whole of the Middle East, going from Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, all the stands, China, Mongolia, North Korea, there is no venue for you to attend the memorial. Now, why is that significant? It's significant because this map absolutely demonstrates that when Jehovah's Witnesses say that the end is just round the corner, when the governing body reiterates that the end is just round the corner, it clearly cannot be, because, quite simply, those list of the signs given, you know, earthquakes, food shortages, lawlessness, blah, 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 blah. They can say, yeah, all those signs have been fulfilled. Here's proof. Earthquakes, world wars, lawlessness, damaging the earth, blah, 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 blah. But remember, the last part of it says, and the good news of the kingdom will be preached in the entire inhabited earth for a witness to all, not some, but all the nations. And finally, then the end will come. So clearly, if any Jehovah's Witness tells you that Armageddon, paradise, is just in touching distance, just hit them with the fact that it can't be, because they failed to fulfill the prophecy that only they could fulfill about preaching the good news in the entire inhabited earth to a witness to all the nations. Because, sorry, when you look at these countries and their population, we are not just talking about millions, we are talking about billions. Billions of these people will not have the ability to attend the memorial on the 24th because they have never heard about it. Think about that. So when, for instance, allegedly Armageddon being imminent and all the governing body members go to heaven and they are now going to come back to the earth and start killing people in their millions and billions, can you imagine if Tony Morris gets the job to sort of wipe out the unbaptized non-Jehovah's Witnesses in China? He might be asking for a bit of help. He says, you know, if one angel took, a whole night to take down Sennacherib's army, and one angel took down a whole night to kill all the firstborn in Egypt, well, he's got billions to deal with, so he's probably going to ask for help from Stephen Lett or other people. Just think about it. Stephen, can you give us a bit of help here? We've got all these unbaptized non-Jehovah's Witnesses in China, and I've got billions on my hand here. Need a bit of help in the spectacular slaughter. And according to the governing body, of course, they say that unless you are a baptized Jehovah's Witness, you certainly will die at Armageddon. Yet, according to Jehovah God, that he desires nobody to die, or he desires all to be preserved. And he states that the preaching work must be completed in the entire inhabited earth, a witness to all the nations. It is bizarre, because fundamentally, if you then say this to a Jehovah's Witness and just say, look, Armageddon isn't near around the corner because you haven't fulfilled the prophecy to preach in the entire inhabited earth to witness all nations. What about Algeria, Libya, Tunisia, Egypt, Sudan, Chad, Afghanistan? What about Pakistan? What about all these people with millions of people and billions of people in total? What about them? And oh, there's brothers over there. Really? The entire inhabited earth, witness all the nations. What is like two guys over in Egypt? There's like two guys in Afghanistan, like one guy over in China. Sorry, that is not cutting the mustard. Honestly, if these Jehovah's Witnesses in the Western world seriously take their responsibility to preach to all these countries where clearly the need is greater, they should pack up their lovely comfortable lives that they have in Western Europe and America and Canada and all over the place. They should pack up their homes, pack up their livelihoods and their holidays abroad and their sky sports and their meals and cinemas and meeting up, in the nice kingdom halls and going for barbecues and all those sort of things, having nice jobs. They should pack up and move to where the need is great in Libya, Algeria, Tunisia, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Iran, all the stands in China. Because those people over there really need to hear the good news of the kingdom and what a memorial event's all about. They should really go there, because when I was pioneering, so many times that we'd go to a door, and we'd done it 4 times in a year, and we literally knew who would be coming to the door and what they'd say. Oh, I remember him last time. Oh, I know what he's going to say. If it gets to that point, once somebody's had the witness, it's time to then move on to Algeria or Libya or Egypt. En masse, all these people who live in cozy lives should say, look, it's, we've got to go out and try and save some lives. So they should all be heading over to all these countries I mentioned. There's billions of people waiting to hear. But that's not going to happen. So let's just imagine, for instance, that Armageddon does come while I'm recording this video. So if I disappear abruptly, you know what's happened. And the next thing is there's people in any of these countries, and all of a sudden there's Stephen Lett is in, angelic Stephen Lett is putting to death this person's family one by one. The mum, the dad, the granny, the grandma, the children, and the wife's left, and she's saying to Brother Lett, Stephen, why have you killed everybody, including my dog? And they said that I'm killing you because you're not a baptized Jehovah's Witness. And the poor woman looks up to Stephen and says, what's a Jehovah's Witness? Because that's the point. In reality, billions of people do not know what the memorial event is. They don't know what a Jehovah's Witness is. They don't know about Armageddon. They've probably never seen a Bible. They have no concept of what is allegedly going to happen just round the corner. And so when you say this to a Jehovah's Witness, they like to then say, oh, Jehovah would look into their hearts. He wouldn't kill them. He'd look into their hearts to see if they would accept the truth. Well, that's funny, because let's think about if Armageddon came in the time that Saul was persecuting the early Christians. Saul would have died. It took a supernatural event in Jesus appearing in front of him, blinding Saul, that he had a change of heart. And then his heart was changed to become the Apostle Paul and to go out preaching. But how many of us will ever have that opportunity? I can tell you, none. So basically, we're not afforded the luxury that Saul had to have a supernatural event to change our heart. So Saul would have died if Armageddon would have came then. So this whole chestnut of, oh, we can look into the heart, that's bollocks. Because at the end of the day, hearts can be changed. Somebody may be at the point they'll accept the truth the lies, but in 5 years' time they may have fallen out, and somebody who 5 years previously wouldn't have accepted it, maybe their heart's in the right condition. It's just complete bollocks. But this is what, people who can't imagine Jehovah God willy-nilly killing people just because they're not a baptized Jehovah's Witness. Oh, look in the heart. But sorry if anybody has that thinking, but the end of the day is, have you ever read your Bible? The Bible is full of numerous encounters of where Jehovah God doesn't bother about hearts. He just kills people willy-nilly when he fancies it. And he kills children. Innocent children. Let's think about, for instance, in Egypt, how one angel went and killed the firstborn of everybody in Egypt. They must have killed thousands and thousands of children and babies, little boys and little girls, who would be innocent because he was trying to change the heart of an obstinate man. Funny, I wonder if actually Pharaoh was actually the firstborn of his father. Why did he live? That doesn't make any sense. Just thought about that. That doesn't make any sense. But anyway, do you get my point? So in other words, one angel did that. One angel killed the firstborn, killed thousands of little children. And then, of course, we know that the other time that the Israelites were given the command to go into the cities and spare no one, not even the cat and a donkey. Kill every living thing. Don't spare anybody. That's including little boys and little girls and babies. So for any Jehovah's Witnesses who say, oh no, God wouldn't do that, well, he's done it many times before. I wouldn't put any bets on it that he's not capable of actually doing this all over again. However, getting back to this prophecy, the last prophecy, if Jehovah's Witnesses say all these other prophecies have been fulfilled, the last prophecy has yet to be fulfilled, because no Jehovah's Witness can say, after looking at this memorial map locator, the fact that you can have fun with it yourself and just do the maths, do the distances, just try and figure out where these people are supposed to attend their nearest kingdom hall, it clearly shows that that scripture has yet to been fulfilled. The good news has not been preached in all the inhabited earth for a witness to all the nations. It hasn't. So, if you're still somebody who thinks that maybe the witnesses are right, and maybe that the events in the Ukraine and maybe COVID and maybe Armageddon is just around the corner, well, sorry. The most important prophecy, the one at the end, the one that once that gets fulfilled, that then it says, and then the end will come, that has not been fulfilled. There are at least 30,000 numbers down for a kick-off, and I don't see any of their numbers moving en masse to all these countries. So in other words, if you're still worried that Armageddon is just around the corner, and that your mum and dad might have been right, and you maybe shouldn't have left the Kingdom Hall too early, you've got nothing to worry about. Believe because unfortunately the people who are supposed to fulfill that prophecy won't do it in my lifetime or your lifetime. Anyway, that's all I have to say. It was a long-winded way about getting that, but I thought there was some finer points that I wanted to bring out, but I think they all have relevance. Yeah, dear me. I would have probably turned off by now. Anyway, I'm doing this now because tomorrow I'm bringing my son back, well, my son's belongings back from university into his room, and he will be then coming back on the Monday. So there may be only one more of me in my son's bedroom. Otherwise, my son will be at this desk telling me to get off, Dad. You know, don't go and tuck your shite down in the kitchen. So that may be happening. So anyway, I will be away now till probably Sunday. So because I'm off tomorrow, and I'm bizarrely chipper for somebody who actually was up at 5:30 this morning and then worked for like for 10.5 hours. But there you go. I'm on a roll at the moment. But anyway, the roll has stopped. I'm coming off that roll. So tomorrow I won't be here, and Saturday I won't be here. I may come back Sunday with something else that I'd like to talk about as well. If you're interested, if you're not, you know what to do. Anyway, have a great weekend, everybody. I'll catch you later. Bye bye. Bye bye.